Welcome back, Tribe. Got an episode here from It's Complicated. Economically socialist, romantically capitalist.
Is it true that most women say they want a man to protect and provide?
Yes.
I would say yes.
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah, 100%. You want to feel comfortable with your lover. You want to make sure that they can protect you.
What if I told you the idea of men protecting and providing is a social construct reinforced by the patriarchy?
It's probably true.
I definitely see that standpoint, but I also think it goes back into our primitive instincts, right? Like hunters and gatherers. So the more dainty, not as muscular build people, which typically are women, were the gatherers and stayed at home, and the men went out and they hunted. So I think that's kind of how that whole social construct began. It's kind of in our DNA. It's almost primitive.
If patriarchy is bad, why do women still expect that from men?
Is patriarchy bad, or are feminists just telling us it's bad?
I don't believe the patriarchy is a thing. I believe the matriarchy is a thing. We live in a Western world where women are the biggest voting bloc. Women are the biggest spending bloc. Women have a majority of the debt, and women raise the next generation. That is the exact definition of what a matriarchy would be.
It's a tough question because I personally am against the patriarchy, but then there's also some social constructs of relationship roles that I'm okay, yeah, I actually do value that traditional kind of standpoint.
Why do women only complain about patriarchy when they are competing with men?
I would never compete with a man.
Because women can't have it all. Even though they say that they can have it all, they cannot have it all.
Why is it when it comes to the job market, we must be inclusive, but in the dating market, it's purely competition?
Because it's the hottest survive.
I feel like there definitely is a lot of double standards in both roles. I feel like it just depends on the relationship per se, because I feel like I have met some men that aren't as masculine or, protecting as others. So I feel like
It's the water, boys. It's the atrazine in the water. It's all the soy. It's all the estrogen. It's everything that's not being processed, that's destroying masculinity. Not only societal pressure tells you to be all feminine, tells you to be a little girly man, tells you to paint your nails and wear dresses and cry all day, but it's also the food you're consuming and the water you're drinking. It's all poison. It's all destroying our test levels. The average man today is probably walking around with the test levels of a 90-year-old from 100 years ago. We're lacking vitamin D. We're lacking sunlight. We're lacking taking our bodies out and experiencing the air, the sun, the wind, physical hardship. We used to be working and plotting the lands. We don't do that anymore. We sit inside in dark rooms just like this one, the one I'm in right now, with these synthetic lights. That's absolutely robbing your body of the thing it needs, the senses. That's why when people go out in nature, they feel happier immediately. It's your body's natural environment. Feel all five senses instead of being in a dark room with everything being synthetic. So we don't put our bodies through stress. We don't grow. We don't feed our bodies good food. We're withering away. We're no longer in tight social groups doing things outdoors, brotherhoods. Therefore, we're becoming more depressed. It's all by design.
it really just depends on the person as well, but I understand where you're coming from.
There's all this talk about creating a more fair and equitable society. What determines in life what should be a competition and what should have equal outcomes?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Equal outcome is laughable. That is not a thing that is possible and achievable, and everything is competition. Everything. Equity is for children and participation trophies, not grown-ass adults.
Why do women want equality in everything except for dating?
I wish I knew, but what's wrong with us?
Oh, they don't even want equality in everything but dating. They're not even close. They don't want to pick up the garbage on the side of the road. They don't want to go die in the draft. They don't want to pay for bills. They don't want to lift heavy stuff. They don't want to squish spiders.
Nice.
They don't want to be treated equal for pay when they have to work as many hours, work as late in life, miss as much family functions for their job. And also, if women stopped and left the workplace, the HR department would disappear.
Do women give all men an equal shot, or do they prefer to choose the best and most qualified?
We prefer to choose the richest.
The same way a man would choose which girl he wants to go after.
Yeah, that's true. And it's mostly by looks. It's definitely not anything else.
Do women give all men an equal shot, or do they prefer to choose the best and most qualified?
No, the majority of women do not give all men equal shots. Unfortunately, you do have those simple-minded women or those gold diggers that want to reach for the upper echelon. My thing is, instead of chase the bag, help your mate to get the bag.
So why are women economically socialist but romantically capitalist?
I think because they're looking for that catch, that fish, that someone.
Come on,
that
man,
can
we know
pay
what
the
it is.
Bills and mortgage and supply them and wine and them and dine them. Not all women, but a majority. If you don't have it, they're not going to talk to you.
Why is it when it comes to the job market, we must be inclusive, but in the dating market, it's purely competition?
Because I think you still want to find the best person for you, and
Doesn't a boss want to find the best employee for his company?
yeah, and he should.
But they're forced to hire people they don't necessarily want to hire.
Well, and that's not right. I don't necessarily think that you should hire somebody just because they fill a box that of equality. I think you should still be finding the best person for the job.
Since dating is considered a marketplace, how high would women's standards have to be, and how much competition would there have to be before men are willing to decide it's no longer worth it?
Well, I feel like the follow-up question would that to be, do women compete with women more or do men compete with men more?
Women compete with each other for the top 10, 12, 8% of men. The average man that's working the Taco Bell counter, that's working the grocery store register, that's driving the bus, he can no longer get an average woman. Women want that top 10, that top tier, that top echelon man. They want that 8, 9, 10 man, even though they're an adjustable 6 at best.
What do you think about the men who choose to remain bachelors?
It's funny because I probably have that mindset this day and age. I just turned 44 today. Today is my birthday. But when I was in my early 20s, I thought about marriage and settling down. But now it's like the bachelor life is better. You know, people out here getting married and getting divorced a couple months later. So until you find true love and happiness, it's nothing wrong with being a bachelor.
You know, they might wake up one day at 50 and be completely happy. They might wake up at 50 and be like, I don't have any kids. Like, I'm missing something.
Yeah, even for the old head 44, it's not an ideal setup. It's a response to the problem that he's facing, but it's far from ideal. Every man would do better to have a family, to see his legacy growing out, his seeds, something to protect, something to live for. Every single one. The issue is navigating the legal landscape of a divorce, child support, family court, all that stuff, on top of just social degradation in society today. Because let's face it, finding a quality woman that you would give your life for is damn near impossible today. Every man in the comments would, if they could, be promised that kind of woman somehow. If there was like a magic button you can press that says, here's a woman that would love you till death do us part, absolutely have your back, will be your peace when you get home, gives you beautiful children, loyal, everything ever, every man would hands down say, yes, I'll take it. 100% would get married, 100, if you could guarantee that. The problem today is with morality and the social fabric being degraded to such a degree where everybody's in hedonism, consumerism, just degeneracy all around us. The Western moral values and the scaffold that we use to create this modern society is so rotten to its core that it's better to walk away. It's better to go your own way. This is why. This is the symptom. The man is 44 years old. He sees the degradation around him. He's been around long enough to see just how bad it's gotten compared to when he was a kid. And he doesn't want to partake in it. And it makes complete sense. Now, the other answer to this issue has been passport bros, where if my culture's too toxic, if the women have bought into a certain ideology so much that it makes them less than ideal mates, I'm going to go overseas. And I'm going to either uproot my life completely or at least temporarily find something, out there to potentially bring back here. Most guys choose to stay out there. They left the plantation and they're never coming back. They got to experience what traditional women are like, what a grounded culture is like. Typically, they're more religious in nature, which is what the West tries to push as a negative is actually a positive. Culture is intact. Family values are intact. People still celebrate together with extended families. All of this that we're missing for the generation that's coming up now, they have no idea how life should be, what the good old days were like. They have no idea. They're being propagandized to think like, men used to just beat women nonstop. The ham was dry, honey. Here's a 2-piece and a soda right to your face. Like, that's not what it was like. It's rare. It's as rare as it is today. Like, scumbags back then were scumbags. Scumbags today are scumbags. Nothing has changed. But the narrative paints it as like, 50s housewives used to just get beat nonstop when the chicken breast was dry. Just not what it was. But that's what they're indoctrinating the youth with. So they think their way is the best. They think their mental issue-ridden society, doped up on pharmaceuticals, is the correct progressive way to live. This is us advancing in society today. that most of you are depressed. Most of you require pharmaceuticals to get through the day. Most of you are isolated in your rooms. Most of you work for bullshit pay at a bullshit job in a bullshit gig economy with no health insurance, no retirement planning, nothing. Your way is good. And social media allows them to be, I guess, manipulated, allows the strings to be pulled that much easier because you can make a viral video backed by the government, makes it look so real, that's brainwashing the youth. I mean, we see their grip slipping on mainstream media, but social media is the new thing. I mean, the White House invited TikTokers over to push establishment ideas on the youth. They're already there. They're not stupid. There are plants. There are industry plants right now that are being propped up. For example, podcasts. The amount of influence Joe Rogan has, they have already started plants. Let me show you one. This right here is a perfect example of an industry plant. Came out of nowhere. Says it's a social media star. Nobody knows who the fuck this person is. Absolutely horrible at doing interviews. Her very first podcast is with Drake. Then she has nothing but industry plants. Tyga and all these people are now popping up on her videos. This is somebody with a massive team behind her. Look, Mark Cuban was even on there. Lil Yachty, all these people that are, quote, in the industry and famous right now. Somebody is propping this person up. It's going to start through the culture here, music, which gets the youth. But then she's going to start having political people on there. Then she's going to start giving out, quote, disseminated information from the powers to be, right? Reading off her script. Watch, man. Who the fuck gets 757,000 subscribers with 12 views and you're interviewing famous people in the industry immediately? So the industry plants are starting on podcasts. The industry plants on TikTok, short form content already there. White House started inviting them. You have to be careful. The content you consume is absolutely being curated by the powers to be. Just understand that. And they have the minds of the youth wrapped up. So when I tell you guys escape the plantation, I'm saying because it's not going to get better anytime soon. The messaging and the censorship is getting ramped up. Even so-called grassroots, small creator stuff is absolutely not small creator. It's propped up by the industry. They're seeing where people are going for their messaging now. So this divide between men and women told not to settle, boss babe, female empowerment, men going their own way, checking out, this and that is only going to further. The divide is only going to get worse. Society is only going to get more and more degenerate. And the only way to secure yourself a decent future with a good family, or at least affordable cost of living where you can get ahead in life financially, is by going overseas. I'm telling you guys.
And I know that's something you have to figure out through your life.
And by the way, once you take into account everything I've said and you start to listen the way people dole out their opinions, you'll begin to see the connection. You'll begin to see like, hey, I can tell what kind of content you consume. I can tell what kind of message is being dispersed in your brain every single day.
Say, or they've gone through it before, they've been married, got divorced, and they're like, you know what, I'd rather live the bachelor life and enjoy my life, you know?
If you've got a little black book of 3, 4, 5, 6 women that you can call, take care of everything you need on that Friday. Maybe you have one that dresses up nice and comes to the company picnic with you. Maybe you've got one that's just down and dirty and shows up in a high heels and a trench coat. Why would you give that up for marriage when you're going to get divorced? She's going to take the kids. She's going to take your money and she's going to destroy you. There is no net benefit today for men to get married.
If sex wasn't a need, wouldn't men boycott these women rather than be forced to simp?
This one consumes TikTok heavily just by the way she looks. Toxic purple hair, gauge earrings, tattoos everywhere on your hands, knuckles, shoulders, chest, bull ring, bro. And this is of someone that will say they're so artistic, they're so different from everybody else. Jeez, man.
For them?
Yes, but sex is a need, and it will always be a need, so.
Why do the majority of young women happen to be left-leaning woke liberals?
Because it benefits them to be that way. Conservatism is about personal responsibility and decision making, and women culturally avoid responsibility like it's kryptonite.
That's a G.
Any excuse to pass the blame off onto anybody else, that's what they do. Women, they just don't want to be accountable. They just want to be victims of the big bad man, of the big bad culture, and they just want to avoid personal responsibility.
Women of today have been kind of seeing in the news what
the government is doing to women, and they disagree with that. And so I think we are considered woke liberals because we're like, we disagree with a lot of what the conservative party wants to do to women, like take away rights, and they want to kind of contain us and treat us like we're lesser than.
See what I mean?
And we don't want things taken.
Do you see what I mean? The indoctrination. She's literally making the argument for why she's a woke liberal moron and doesn't think for herself. The hair, the chain, the masculine dressing, the talking points, all handed down by Big Daddy government. They're taking our rights away. Who is? Conservatives. What rights are they taking away? What is it that you can't do that a man can do? Oh my God, like abortion? That's like literally all they can say. Abortion? Okay, but what rights? Okay, that's a procedure you can have as a result of the consequences of you having sex with another human being and getting pregnant and not using preservatives like a condom. Now, besides that, what rights of life, of living in everyday society do you not have that men have? And the answer is, I'm stumped, bro. Men get paid more than men. We're perpetuating that myth.
Get away from us.
How is liberal women wanting handouts from the government different than conservative women wanting men to take care of them?
A fair exchange. Conservative women want men to take care of them because it's a mutually beneficial, independent relationship where they make a mutual agreement to meet each other's needs, wants, and desires, whereas those women just living off the tax dollars, there's no mutually beneficial relationship. They're leeching, they're sucking off the tit of the taxpayer, and oftentimes not giving back anywhere near close to the resources they absorb.
If men choose to no longer marry, does that mean these women will look to the government to support them instead?
I don't know. I guess that's a question you'd have to ask them, I suppose, on who they're going to want to be their sugar daddy, if it's going to be Uncle Sam when they don't have. I don't think people will ever stop getting married, though.
Eventually, the money's going to dry up. It's going to dry up. You can't give every unmarried old cat lady money. There's just not enough money anymore. The government's been taking money with overtaxation, compelled parental responsibility from men as long as they have. And once men stop marrying, stop having children out of wedlock, and if they just pay their child support, all these women, when they turn 40, 45, 50, as much as they say now they'll be happy, they're not going to be happy with no family, no husband, no children, and 4 or 5 cats running around.
Are women by nature more socialist because they want to be provided for?
Yes, women want everything they can get, every handout, because it's easier and it's what they're used to. I mean, let's be honest, fellas, if we were a 16-year-old woman and we spent 5-6...
Women just want the government to treat them like a man would. Take care of me, protect and provision for me at all costs. For your rights and your freedoms? Yeah. I'll give away my rights and my freedoms as long as you protect and provide for me. That's how women vote most of the time. And it's like you said earlier, women are the new power block for voting now. So just look at the way society has shifted. Censorship, freedom of speech, government handouts, welfare programs, taxation increasing to pay for all of this stuff, rampant inflation, forgivement of loans and stuff. A surprise to nobody, man.
6-7 years with people giving us everything we wanted just simply for existing, that would be a hard behavior to break. Be a real hard behavior to break. That's why when the wall comes, 30, 32, 33, somewhere in that, these women are panicking because they've never had to be responsible, never had to earn really anything. It's been just given to them simply because they're pretty and they look nice, and men will do anything to get the attention of a pretty woman.
Are they more socialist because women are more collective, hive-minded?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you have to stick together. I mean, if you feel like you're being held down, then you've got to band together with the other people who are in your corner.
Women will lie to each other in protection of the group, in protection of the subset. Women will lie. You will say Lizzo is a 10 when Lizzo is not a 10. You will lie and say, go girl, you got that. You should divorce that man when you know you shouldn't. Women will lie to protect each other, to promote each other, to tear each other down because
it's to protect their place in the group. As long as they don't challenge the group's ideas, they won't be outcasted. Outcasted is the worst thing that could happen to a female in nature. it's a death sentence. A man getting outcasted, or I should just say in animal terms, a male animal that gets outcasted can typically solo it for a little bit before he finds his own troop, tribe, pride, whatever. But it's not the same for females. Most of the time when females get outcasted, it's a death sentence. So it's from evolutionary terms, go with the group's ideas, stay within the group. If you challenge something, you'll either physically have to back your challenge, which doesn't really go well for females, or risk pissing the group off and being outcast. Death sentence.
It's all about feelings above facts.
What's the difference between...
Yeah, we've seen enough, dude. We know what the messaging is. If you guys want to watch the full video, it's on It's Complicated's channel. Go show them some love.